It has been dependent on food aid for a very long time, actually since 1964. Until recently, 2010, when the government brought in new developments from giving you direct aid food and making it easy for you to be the manufacturers of your own food, so that you depend on yourselves. So we are going to be talking about how Karamojongs now, as we speak, or people of Moroto, are managing without the food aid that was withdrawn 2010. Okay, what had necessitated the food aid? Why did people need to come and give you food long ago in the first instance? I'll start with the speaker.
We had bad governance, and democracy was not exercised, and government was not to the root of the people. But since the NRM came in and to change strategies of getting into the people, and we really appreciated. One of the strategies that government came in was to disarm and to ensure open the way to get to the people, which is done now. And the second thing is to make sure that the people rely on themselves to produce food like any other part of the country.
Maybe it is a miracle because those days we didn't have these necessary rains. And I don't know what happened. I think the dam First Lady made. Our place was too dry from January mostly. Let me say from August to January, we didn't see rain.
No drop of rain.
No drop of rain. We should see rain once in a year.
To me, I think I should attribute everything to the peace. You know, when there is peace, everybody's at a peace of mind. And you know, the population has doubled.
Of course, when you're peaceful,
everything is okay.
There's
so
even time for activity.
With the population doubled, it also means that the food supply should also be what? Doubled. So I think that should that should be the most important part. And then, of course, as Madam had actually mentioned, you know, the rain pattern here had been a bit of a problem. We used to have rain from maybe April up to June, and that was all.
Throughout
the whole year. But now with the peace, still I say peace has played a very key role.
Even climate has
changed. The climate has become peaceful, and we're having enough rain.
How was life after all that aid? Like you said, people got used to being spoon. When did it stop? And what was the life then after that aid stopped? Yes.
Life became a bit hard to these people. To some extent, they started sending their children to come and start working in town. Like they can become maids in the houses, and in the evening they are paid money for buying food for their parents at home. Just because, of course, that time now, these guys also had gotten used to raiding so much. So when they stopped those raids, of course, the men also started coming, now lying under the prison without work, so they could depend on their children.
After the food aid, of course, the disarmament went hand in hand with the food aid. After disarmament was successful, automatically we saw no need of the food aid because people were peaceful and we saw that they can do something. What happened in how people coped up with the situation was, one of the things was what she said. Girls, young children were sent to town to
Is
work
that
as
why we see a
girls.
lot of street kids
Yes.
in Kampala?
Not street kids,
not
to
those
towns,
ones,
but to
as in
our
sending them to
like
work as
to work in
house
the
girls
houses.
in houses,
cities,
in
yes,
the
in
cities,
centers,
in
people's
towns,
homes in
so
towns.
that they can get something small for
That's
their
not child
families.
labor.
Being a dependent is not enough. Unless you have food in your granary, automatically somebody's food cannot keep you for long. So continuous sensitization and income generating activities by NGOs started helping women. How? We started putting women into groups. Groups of VSLA, that is contributing money, and after a week they distribute to themselves, buying cereals, and NGOs could support them. That is how they were coping up. And as we talk now in Karamoja, if you count groups of women and youth, you may not handle. Even government is failing to support them. Because they are everywhere. Everywhere people are in groups, youth are in groups. That was another coping
they
mechanism.
succeeding?
They are. We have groups here that are launching projects of their own. We have CPOs that are in every district. You find that there are CPOs of women. Then the other one was also Karamojongs generally and traditionally are used to sharing. We also share, like in GA, that is Kotido. If you don't have, like in maybe from one sub-county, you have a relative in the other sub-county, this family moves to the other sub-county to borrow, and sometimes they share something small, just to make sure they reach the other season.
There were two issues.
that made people not grow food. One, insecurity. Because when people go to the gardens and then there had been a raid somewhere and a person from that community has been killed, these women, when they are in the garden, the other people who lost their person would want to come and revenge on these women because they are the soft target. So women would fear to go to the gardens because previously there had been raids. Secondly, people were used to free things, so it made them relax. Withdrawing, one, disarmament has brought really development in the sense that people are now free to go to the gardens and dig. They are free now. Small children can even graze around without any fear because they know I am safe. I'll go back home alive. Then, when World Food Program withdrew their food from the community, it now made the community wake up to say now it is better for me to go and do it myself.
Okay, what impact did it have on education? Like, did the kids continue going to school? Did the number reduce?
The kids continue going to schools because the World Food was also supporting schools. So the mobilization and the sensitization that the children should go to school as one of the strategies was going on. So when the aid was withdrawn, it didn't just disappear from nowhere. The government and the partners who were involved sensitized the people. The people were prepared. So there were some strategies which were put in place.
So they actually first told you that food is going to stop coming.
Yeah.
Transition.
Yeah, it doesn't just disappear from nowhere. They will keep on telling us we shall face out this, it will not be there. So the people adjusted. Even if it is natural for some people not to accept the withdrawal, but at least we were told it will come to an end. So some other strategies were put, which have been developed by the government and partners in development over a period of best.
Okay, how successful has agriculture been since then, or how have you coped planting crops away
Like
from?
for example, when you were coming, I think you saw some cassava in Nakapiri Creek, and it has a signpost of an NGO, it is SF and GIZ. So those are the people who could bring us seeds, and they could do well because right now we eat cassava from Karamoja, not from Teso anymore. Even the greens, just up the mountain near Mount Morototel, we have there some grains like sukuma wiki. They do good because the seeds that they bring are really fertile.
We had a very good opportunity to catch up with Mike Kidon Onyang, the Moroto District Information Officer, and he had so much to say about this. Let's take a look at what he has said. When we come back, we see how life is now with these new strategies, and we see more solutions that we can have and suggest more crops that can actually grow on this land of our unpredictable climate. Let's take a look at him.
Karamoja, for several decades, has been relying on World Food Program, especially on the distribution of food relief. And the World Food Program went on shifting its services from food relief, food for assets, but all was geared to supporting the Karamojong to alleviate the problem of food security. It was, I think, 1 or 2 years ago when there was a shock for Karamoja to learn that World Food Program has stopped its services, especially food relief. Now, because of that shock, of course, it was government effort to encourage the Karamojong to be self-sustaining, self-reliant, and to begin producing food for themselves. Now, it's only this year where there has been a challenge because of 2 reasons. One, there was delayed rainfall in the region, and 2, OPM, or government, also stopped to send the tractors that they used in the last 2 years because the tractors helped them to grow, to open a lot of land, and then get a lot of food. So now if you go all over Karamoja, you'll find that a lot of land is left uncultivated. 2, the crops that they grew, the weather also squashed they actually withered. And up to, I think, last week, some people are still tilling the ground. But for us in Karamoja, we have got only one season. Once you miss that season for cultivation, that's the end of it. You will not expect again any other production of crops. What can only encourage the crop production is to encourage people and be allowed to go to virgin land. But the challenge is that a lot of land in Karamoja is gazetted for wildlife. Otherwise, the only remedy is just to look for fertile land and take the people to settle there, and then they begin producing food. Right now, the land they are staying is already exhausted. They are tired. It is no longer productive.
Which crops do well here by them? Sorghum.
All
crops
but
do well.
just because the committee members naturally and traditionally used to think sorghum is the best, and because it was their staple food and they think that is it. But they are just not yet exposed to many other seeds. But all seeds do well in Karamoja. For example, if someone is talking about cassava, it was a dream. They used to say aropu bone, it just comes by itself. Alamabon. They never expected it to be grown and it could become food. They thought it is a wild crop.
Which one?
Cassava. So now, when it was introduced, sweet potatoes, people are investing in Kotido, Sim. There is this food called La Pena in Acholi. Everything is being grown. Okay, and I know all crops can do well, but people are just not exposed to these crops.
Okay. But if the agricultural department could go out there and sensitize these people, and also have in every sub-county, let them have some demonstration plots, so that I will walk there to my ease and see that, hey, I think Sim can do. If I put it in my garden, I will also harvest.
What is that technology you're employing to deal with the fact that you have a longer drought and a less wet? What are you going to do to reconcile the two weathers and know that you can produce enough for yourself and for you to sell?
We have made interventions. Government actually has made interventions. They have started putting dams. You've seen a dam under the Rachek.
Yes.
We have a dam at Kobebe. In Kabong also we have a dam. So we are moving towards irrigation. Irrigation is one of the solutions that we can have sustainable food production in this region. The other thing is that government has moved ahead to actually get extension workers to every sub-county in this country. Extension workers in agriculture, in the veterinary, so that we have production of food. The other thing is that we don't want also to rule out the handouts. You see, it has to be there. Why? We have vulnerables. Vulnerables that cannot go to gardens. They cannot completely. They don't have widows. Those widows, old women, really very, very weak. So we look at these organizations to gear their support towards those vulnerables, as well as we move on towards changing the lives of this Karamoja who is sleeping under the tree. So sensitization is at the forefront. You see, without sensitization and education, then we will not achieve anything. But so far, that's where we're gearing towards.
To me, I would think if government would look at it, one, by teaching the community to use the ox plow. If they could have animal traction like it is being done in Namalu, so that every family wakes up in the morning, you know that I have my oxygen, I'm tying them, I'm going to my garden. That is when the men, because that work is mostly done by men, the men will be so much involved. Now they are not involved 100% because they know in the olden days most of the work of the garden was for women. So they are just coming to get used to working in the gardens. We appreciate what they are doing. Mostly you get children and women only in the gardens. Secondly, they should also teach them how to preserve the environment. You know, keeping the environment intact also help the weather, because if you destroy the plants, if you destroy the trees, you'll not get the rain. So then that means also the drought will be prolonged and your crops will dry. Animal traction is the best way, I think, in Karamoja, but they should come and study the soil.
Actually, for us in Karamoja, we are very active and the government is trying to help our people. To help our people in terms of this program of NADS. NADS is doing in Karamoja. You find today, during back, when you want to get an animal, you could go for it. That's when you'll get an animal. But now NADS is doing well.